can be slow, but that's of necessity to make sure that it's good.
Have there been any particular challenges for you in this first term?
I think probably just it's just the learning curve. Yeah, it's been a challenge over our list because I enjoy change, I enjoy challenge, I enjoy working hard. But it's been a journey. Yeah, and I have really enjoyed it though.
Did you get some orientation help when you first arrived?
We had a lot, which was great. So we had a whole, I think it was a week of induction from Parliamentary Services. They ran a whole fairly comprehensive program and talked us through a lot of systems and processes and who does what and where to go, and even down to bowing on your way out of the house, which is, how to stand up and take a call in Parliament, all of these things that you just don't know.
There's a lot of protocol to it.
There's a lot, yeah. No, there is a lot. And who does what is actually another really important part of how to get things done. And so a lot of it is making sure that you're approaching the right person for the right thing. So yeah, we had a whole week, which was great. And then on top of the parliamentary services stuff, Labour actually also gave us extra opportunities for, we've got professional development support, we've got the ability for one-on-one supervision, we've all sorts of stuff.
So you mean it's ongoing? I mean, because I'm wondering, sometimes you guys have staff who come and go from parliamentary services. Do you have the continuity that you need in terms of your support?
Yes, we do. It is, it's normal for people to move in and out of jobs, and I think what we see in Parliament is people might leave us, but they stay in Parliament and just take on a different role that maybe is just something that is particularly interesting to them, or is part of their professional growth. So movement of staff is really common, but I think that's true of every workplace, if I'm honest. Yes, we have a roving support team. So if we have a gap between, an employment gap, then the roving support team are absolutely brilliant to look after us really well.
Are there any things you want to particularly change with it? I mean, it's a short parliamentary term, isn't it? 3 years is not long.
It is short,
and we're two-thirds the way through.
Yeah.
You think, gosh, I've only got a year left. I mean, there's no guarantee, you'll be here.
That's right. I mean, there's no guarantees for any of us, and I think that's something we need to really take on board. I'm sure we all do take it on board. I've always said I've never taken a single vote for granted, so I don't take my time here for granted. So I'm looking to achieve as much as I humanly can, but as a backbencher. And, you've said we have a limited capacity to achieve things because we aren't ministers. But I'm working as hard as I can to get as much as I can done. But I've always done that regardless of where I've been, so I don't know how long I'll be here. I just want to get as much done as I can.
Sarah Pallett of the Labour Party. Lastly, we hear from Nationals Joseph Moody, the MP for Southland, who said he's enjoying the job.
Yeah, no, I am. Getting a sense of how things work, and it's never easy, but nothing worthwhile doing ever is.
When you first came here in 2020, did you get some help in terms of orientating yourself around this, the place, the system?
Yeah, no, look, you get paired up with a buddy MP, and party, and then there's also parliamentary services, have an induction process where they give you sort of indication how things work. And there's other MPs are quite happy to give you advice, and to like anything, there's a mixture of mentoring that's available. It's also up to the individual to actually seek out advice and opportunities themselves, like any job.
But it can be overwhelming. This is the centre of power. It is a big place physically. There's a lot of protocol to get around.
It is. It's a different kind of place, and it does take quite some time to get used to. But some very experienced politicians have said to me, there is no training manual for this job. You have to learn on the job, and that's because it's always changing.
Yeah. Are there any particular challenges you've faced as a first-time MP?
It's been a change of pace, that's for sure. Like, I have my own businesses, and I've built small businesses previously. I'm used to working extremely hard, but this has been challenging because you do spend a lot of time away from family. I don't think that's probably well understood by many of the price families pay for their loved ones who serve the community in these jobs. So I think this is a service to the community doing this role. And I've got an incredible electorate, but it's huge. literally bigger than Belgium, and very diverse. We've got from Queenstown to Alexandra to most of Fiordland, Tiano, down to a lot of the Catlins and Waka, so Paul and Matilda. So it's huge and very diverse. It's awesome. So I've got to represent that and also spend 3 days a week, 32 weeks a year in Wellington, representing those communities. So I've got to get out on the ground to be in those communities. But I've only got a few days to do it.
Do your constituents sort of put pressure on you, as it were? Do they have expectations of you, particularly?
But people actually are incredibly respectful, and because in some ways I wish they'd contact me more proactively, because I don't know enough New Zealanders realise how successful the members of Parliament actually are. We're just people doing a job trying to represent other Kiwis, and we're here for other Kiwis, and my experience is people are incredibly respectful and probably don't approach their MP as much as they could or should for some of the challenges that they face. And I'd certainly encourage more of them to do that more, to be frank.
That was Joseph Mooney of the National Party, the last of our 4 MPs, now well into the last half of their first term in Parliament. And you've been listening to The House, I Te Whakarona Koe Ki Te Whare, a program made with funding from Parliament.
RNZ News at 8 o'clock. Tamaria, good morning. I'm Karen McCarthy. Outgoing Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins says the central government's reform program made the election an uphill battle for progressive candidates. Mr Hawkins was defeated in a landslide victory by first-term councillor Jules Raddick. The two candidates took opposing sides on the Three Waters reform debate, with Mr Hawkins broadly supportive and Mr Raddick vehemently opposed. Mr Hawkins says the government's reforms was one of the difficulties progressives faced.
It always seemed obvious that the breadth of the reform agenda was going to make it difficult for progressive candidates up and down the country, and I don't like to be proven right. It's quite hard, but that seems to be what we are seeing.
Aaron Hawkins says the results demonstrate a pushback from voters against the government's reforms. Wayne Brown's mayoral win in Auckland has prompted the resignation of the chair of Auckland Transport. Within hours of Mr Brown's win, Adrienne Young-Cooper said she would resign. During his campaign, Mr Brown described Auckland Transport as a huge bureaucratic monster that needs to contain its costs. Invercargill's new mayor says his transparency and plans for action resonated with voters. Nobby Clark looks to have comfortably won the mayoralty, defeating long-serving incumbent Sir Tim Shadbolt. He says he's looking forward to making a difference on some of the key projects for the city. Mr Clark says there's a good lineup of councillors so far, with some seats yet to be confirmed.
We've got quite a strong-minded group there, and that's what you want. I don't want a council just sit around and rubber stamps staff reports. I want people to be out front and debating issues, but I also want us to do our homework before we do that in public, and so people respect other people's voices. I think that's really important also.
Nobby Clark says he's ecstatic to have received strong community backing. The Wellington electorate MP Paul Eagle, who was roundly beaten in the mayoral race, says he's made no decisions about his future yet. Mr Eagle came fourth, tens of thousands of votes behind winner Tory Whanau. He says Wellington has spoken, but he remains the Labour MP for Rongotai and is attending events in that capacity today.
But no decision on the future. I mean, we've got recess at the moment, and I've talked to the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and when I get back to Parliament, that'll give me a good week to think about things.
Paul Eagle says he will talk to the Labour Party, his family and supporters before deciding if he'll run again for the seat at the next election. Hours after a huge explosion damaged Russia's only bridge to the occupied Crimean Peninsula, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his Secret Service to tighten security there. He's also instructed that steps be taken to protect gas and electricity supplies to Crimea. Ukrainian officials have welcomed the explosion without saying Kiev was behind it. The BBC's Paul Adams has the view from Kiev.
This has massive symbolism in Moscow. It has huge symbolism here too. As to how it happened, well, that frankly is as clear as mud. Experts I've been speaking to during the day generally believe that this was the result of a sophisticated sabotage operation carried out probably by Ukrainian special forces.
The bridge is now partially reopened to road and rail traffic. Iranians have defied a growing security crackdown to take to the streets as anti-government demonstrators enter a fourth week. There are reports at least 3 people have been killed. Video posted by an activist website shows what the activists say are female students shouting, "Get lost," as the Iranian president visited the university campus in Iran. The president, Ibrahim, condemned protesters enraged by the death of a young woman in custody, reciting a poem equating what he termed rioters with flies. A Waikanai petrol station is the latest target in a series of ram raids in the Kapiti area. In a post on social media, Hana Motors, part of the Mobile franchise, says it was hit by a ram raid early this morning. Images from a security camera shortly after midnight show the store's glass frontage shattered and 2 people searching behind the counter. A bridge south of Napier is the latest to get speed restrictions as roading infrastructure in Hawke's Bay continues to collapse. The bridge across the Ngaruroro River at Fernhill on State Highway 50 cannot cope with the demand of heavy traffic. Our Hawke's Bay reporter Tom Kitchen has more.
There's a 30km/h speed limit in place to protect the bridge from overloading. Wakakotahi says it's one of several Hawke's Bay State Highway bridges that's more than 70 years old and will need an upgrade in the coming years. The Esk River Bridge, just north of Napier, also has the same issue. That bridge will be repaired over coming months and will have to be closed for periods of time, possibly at night. There are also speed restrictions on part of State Highway 2 in Ropanga, north of Napier, and near Jennyburg in southern Hawke's Bay.
The Remataka Hill Road between Wellington and Wairarapa is closed in both directions because of a crash. The police say the crash happened just north of the summit and was reported about 6:30 this morning. Motorists are being warned to avoid the area if they can. That's the news. Now on sport, here's Felicity Reid. Good morning. The Black Ferns recovered from a shaky start to record a 41-17 win over Australia in their opening game of the Rugby World Cup. Wing Portia Woodman, who scored 3 of the Black Ferns' 7 unanswered tries, said she wasn't panicking when the team was 17-0 down after just half an hour's play. To be honest, I was like, this is still a long game. We've still got ages, 10 minutes to my first half and then another 40. So, not happy with the performance, drop balls, not cleaning up rucks. So, it was a bit of a pressure moment. But we've been in those situations at training, so they definitely put us under the red, in the red in those training moments. So, wasn't too happy with it, but I knew I could come back. At today's matches in Saturday, USA play Italy, Japan take on Canada, and Wales play Scotland. The Black Caps were outplayed by Pakistan in their T20 Tri-Series opener, falling to a 6-wicket loss in Christchurch. New Zealand posted 147 for 8 in 20 overs, and Pakistan achieved their required total with 10 balls to spare. Opener Devon Conway, who top scored with 36, isn't looking for excuses.
Yeah, we were slightly under par. Probably didn't quite capitalise as well as we would have liked in that power play. We didn't probably put their bowlers under enough pressure as well. So we'll take those learnings into tomorrow's game and hopefully we can score more in the first innings if we happen to bowl first.
The Black Caps play Bangladesh today. Tickford Racing's car number 6 is on pole position for today's Supercars Bathurst 1000, but it's yet to be determined whether Cal Waters or co-driver James Moffat will be at the wheel for the start of the race. Wet weather in New South Wales yesterday cancelled the top 10 shootout for the first time in 44 years, with grid placings for the race determined by the Friday qualifying session. New Zealand's Richie Stanaway with co-driver Greg Murphy will start the great race at Mount Panorama from 4th position. In Premier League football, Newcastle thumped Brentford 5-1, Bournemouth won 2-1 over Leicester, Chelsea beat Wolves 3-0, and Manchester City beat Southampton 4-0. Koenana Puro Hakenekina.
Coming up on Media Watch, this week TVNZ was hit by a scandal at a reality show, which didn't sound especially ethical to begin with, as TVNZ's boss fronted up to MPs about blending the broadcaster into a not-for-profit public service outfit. We ask him how that's going, and as the world's richest man says he does want Twitter after all, we hear from the founder of a forerunner who's trying to break social media's power from here in New Zealand. That's Media Watch after the news at 9 this morning, and again after the 10 p.m. news tonight on RNZ National.
The network funded through New Zealand On Air. We're on radio, rnz.co.nz, and on your mobile. Anna Thomas is here with Sunday morning after the short forecast from Met service to midnight tonight. For Northland, Auckland, Coromandel and Bay of Plenty, cloudy periods and light showers, mainly in the north. Waikato to Wellington, including Tamaranui, Taupo and Taihape. Mainly fine with areas of morning cloud, a light shower or two possible at Kapiti and Wellington this morning. Gisborne, Hawke's Bay, Wairarapa, also Marlborough, Canterbury, Otago and Southland, fine weather. Nelson and Buller, partly cloudy with a few showers, mainly around Buller. Westland and Fiordland, occasional showers, turning to rain in Fiordland late evening. And the Chatham Islands, mostly cloudy with longer fine breaks from the afternoon. And the Met Service forecast for the main centres today, Auckland, cloudy periods, isolated light showers, northeasterly winds and a high of 17. Tauranga, cloudy periods, the odd light shower, northeasterlies developing this morning, 16. Hamilton, fine, apart from some morning cloud, northeasterlies developing this morning, 17. Wellington, morning cloud, a possible shower towards midday, then fine. Northwesterlies, strong in exposed places, your high today, 15. Christchurch, fine, northerlies developing this morning, 20. And Dunedin, fine, northerlies developing this morning, 20. RNZ National, it's 8:09. Our next news and weather at 9 o'clock. Kia ora and welcome to your Sunday morning. I'm Anna Thomas in for Jim Moore this weekend, who's taking a well-deserved break. It's great to be here with you this morning. And what an exciting night last night. We had the local body elections, the Women's Rugby World Cup. How good were they? And if you were there, I'd love to hear how much fun it was. Text me 2101. And the New Zealand-Pakistan cricket match in Christchurch. Now, on the show this morning, we've heard the news. The local body election results are in. I'll be chatting to some of the winners from the elections, as well as journalist Simon Wilson and senior staff investigative journalist Andrea Vance. Andrea has been following these local elections with a keen eye, reporting on those candidates who've been sharing false information and baseless conspiracy theories. She's going to tell us how things have gone for them. Then taking us up to the news at 9, Margot and Rosa Flanagan, a.k.a. the two Raw sisters. And they've brought their new book with them, Simple Fancy. After 9, Media Watch, and then at around 9:35, Christine Ramsey will be calling home from Bougainville. Auckland Crown Solicitor Brian Dickey has dealt with some very high-profile cases. He joins us after 10 to talk about his life as he prepares to move on from that role. Author Kate Priest is with us around 11:15. She's written a beautiful children's book about the endangered birds of the Chatham Islands. And the 11 o'clock hour is all about music. Scottish band Delamitri are heading to New Zealand. Lead singer Justin Curry speaks with me. The legendary Roger Fox shares his latest musical project. You're going to love it. And we have a beautiful waiata from young Auckland singer-songwriter Paige. It's always lovely to hear from you. Text me on 2101 or you can email sunday@rnz.co.nz. But first, to the elections. And many commentators are calling it a bloodbath for the left, with so many regions voting in right-leaning mayors. Of course, the biggest move was in Auckland, with the election of Wayne Brown, who beat out Efeso Collins by around 55,000 votes. He had agreed to be on the program yesterday, but has pulled out. More on that later. But first to the other big winners. Tori Whānau has claimed the Wellington mayoralty, becoming the first Indigenous woman to lead the capital city. Whānau was the top Green Party staffer from 2017 to 2021, where she acted as an advisor to both co-leaders and played a key negotiation role with Labour and New Zealand First during the coalition government. She won in a STV-style landslide with 14,000 more first preference votes than the next candidates. And she joins me on the line now from Wellington, Te Whanganui Tara, Morena, and congratulations, Tori.
Oh, Morena, thank you so much for having me.
Did you expect to win by such a large margin?
No, I didn't, to be honest. I thought it might be really, really close, and it could have gone either way with Andy or Paul, because they are quite seasoned politicians. So, look, I feel so humbled, and I'm still kind of pinching myself, to be honest.
What did you do last night? How did you celebrate?
I won't lie, many wines were had. It was a bit of a late one, which I'm a bit croaky this morning, but last night was electric. It was electric, and as you know, Wellington is a very political city, so for us, it was a really big deal, and it was very exciting.
We do appreciate you speaking to us this morning. How many hours sleep did you get?
A couple? Two or three? I don't know.
And who was the first person you called?
My mum. And stuff just happened to be in the house at the time when I was given the big call. And I remember calling my mum, and she just started amazing. Really? She had a shock. She was just like, no, you're lying, no. And that's all on camera. It's so funny because actually I did the same thing when Barbara T of Council called me. I was like, I'm dreaming, aren't I? I'm in a dream. But it's just so, it's a dream come true. And I think it has been a year in the making, and just to have this result, and to really know that Wellington is ready for such a trend, ready for progressive policies, that's why they voted me in. My heart is exploding.
Brilliant. So tell us, the first 100 days, what is the plan? I know aspirations are great, but, what are you actually hoping to achieve in that first 100 days?
Look, I know this sounds quite boring, but it's important to me. So there are two main things, and it's to really unify that council, because the voter turnout still isn't as high as it could be. We've had perceptions of disunity, but I want to get that team really strong and moving together and trusted, and that includes council staff as well, because then we can really get some beautiful things happening. I also want to review our democratic system, so I know consultation with our council projects is a bit naff. So I'll be looking at solutions to really address that. But then it's really time to get some spades in the ground. We need to get our pipes fixed. We need homes, so many homes as soon as possible. So I'm going to enable that those builds along, say, Adelaide Road as soon as I can.
Okay, some quick fire questions. Sorry to put you on the spot here. The Fast Five. Who is your inspiration?